What's up, everybody? Remi Adeleke here. I hope everybody's having a safe Friday considering all the things going on in our country right now. I was working out today, and I was working out. I really felt the need that I needed to verbalize my post today. So often I write out my posts because, as a writer, that's the easiest way for me to get my thoughts out of my mind and into the world. But today I really felt the need to go against the grain and verbalize it in this video. And what I want to do is I want to address my post Wednesday concerning George Floyd's untimely, unjust, unfair, unfill-in-the-blank death. And while I'm at it, I'll do the same for Ahmaud Arbery's untimely, unjust, unfair, unfill-in-the-blank death. On one end of the spectrum, I've received a lot of positive feedback and messages and comments from people saying things along the lines of, Remi, thank you for speaking out and using your platform. Things have to change. You're right. Thank you, right? On the other end of the spectrum, I've received a few comments. I don't want to call them negative, but a few challenging comments from people. I'm always up for a challenge. My whole life has been a challenge, so challenges don't bother me. But these comments, I'm going to paraphrase them into one because they're all around the same note, right? They all read somewhere along the lines of, Remi, why are you angry? Why are people angry and outraged that a white police officer killed a black police officer? Why is it the same anger and outrage when a black person kills a black person? Like, black people kill black people all the time at a rate far higher than any other demographic, and white people are killed way more than black people. So why all of the anger? Why all the outrage? Why all the posts? Why all of this right now, right? And wow, there's a whole lot to unpack there, right? But I'm going to start off here. I would be naive, a fool, and a hypocrite to not admit that, yes, there is black-on-black violence. And it is at numbers that I do not like and that have to change. So I'm going to put that out there right first and foremost. And as a matter of fact, in order to get my master's is in strategic leadership with a specialization in strategy as practice. So essentially, my master's is in strategy. And when I went to go do my thesis, I chose to do my thesis on strategies to combat gang violence and the murder rate in the south side of Chicago, right? And as I did all of my research and studied through all of these statistics, not only in Chicago, but all over the country, I was just blown away. I was educated, right? And after doing my paper, I just came to the consensus there, Remi, like, you need to do more. Like, you need to do more. With your background coming from the Bronx and being in special operations and being a speaker, you need to use your influence and do more in inner cities. And that's what I began to do. That's when I began to go to prisons, go to jails, speak with at-risk youth programs, go to inner city high schools and inner city middle schools and sit down with these grown men and kids and say, listen, you have so much potential. Let's stop killing each other. Let's exercise the potential within us. Let's get our education. Let's turn the other cheek and not feel the need to pull our gun and kill each other. There's too much value in our lives, right? That has been and continues to be one of my life goals, is to bring that down. So I say all of that to say I am not oblivious to the fact that black people kill black people, okay? However, I need all of you to understand, especially those who commented and said, well, why is this out right now? I need you to understand that there's a difference. There's a difference. And in some cases, it's really hard for some people to see that unless you grow up in an environment where you see the difference. See, I've been blessed to live in two different worlds. Being in the military as a SEAL, so being somewhat of a police officer, but growing up in the inner city of the Bronx, right? So there's a difference between people who grow up in a tough environment, where there's poverty, where there's scarce resources, where the education system is bad, where people have to get around cliques and gang, and then there's gang violence, and there's a big difference between that violence that takes place there, in my opinion, right? There's a big difference, right? Because the expectation is when you put a lot of people in this tight environment with scarce resources, there are going to be murders. Black, brown, whatever you want to call it, that's going to happen, right? So the expectation is going to be people will murder each other. I don't like it, I don't condone it, but that's the expectation. So it's a big difference between that and a person who took an oath, who has been empowered by the city and the government to protect And I had somebody message me and say, "Well, Remi, it's not the law for the police to protect and serve. It may not be the law, but you know what? It is their ethos, because you see it on almost every police car in the United States in italics, to protect and serve. So it's a big difference when this person who has been empowered and who is expected to protect and serve, when that person wields their power in an unjust way and kills somebody. And when that has happened over and over and over again, going all the way back to slavery, and bring that up, civil rights movement, bring that up to now, because the expectation not only has been they're supposed to protect servers, but the expectation in general in America has been things have changed. And things are supposed to have changed because we're now in 2020. So there's a big difference. When your standard is up here, but you hit here, that hurts. That hurts. The expectations are different. And so that's why people are hurt. That's why people are bothered. And as it relates to the comment about, well, there are more white people are killed by police officers than black people, that's the expectation. Why? Because white people in this country are the majority. That's not a racist comment, that's reality. And black people in this country and other groups are the minority, hence the term minority, right? Smaller. It's a smaller number of us. So because there's a smaller number, the numbers of whites that are going to be that get killed by police officers are going to be higher. Why? Because there's a higher number of white people in this country. And just to kind of add more context and a better example is SEAL training. People ask me all the time, Remi, is SEAL training racist? Because why is it that only a few black people go to SEAL training and there's a large number of white people in SEAL training? Is it because they're racist? And I say, no, it's not because they're racist. Part of the reason is there's way more white people in America than there are black people, so the majority are going to show up to the program and there's going to be a minority. And you can say the same thing for almost every other job. I have a half brother who's a doctor. The majority of doctors in America are white. A minority is black. I have another brother who's an engineer. The majority of engineers are white in America. A minority is black. Why? Because of the numbers. So that argument doesn't work. And when people say, well, why do you get outrageous? To us, especially to me, speaking for myself, it reads like, you know what? You're essentially saying to me, why should you care? You don't have a right to care that a black person was killed, because you guys kill each other all the time. So why are you mad now? You need to keep your mouth shut. You can't say anything. Your people all are messed up. So now you want to say something? I hate that. That's the way it reads, and that may not be that may not be what you're saying directly, but that's how it reads. You can't say anything. Shut up. Your people are wrong. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but that's how it reads. Especially when people have just experienced and read and heard something like what happened to George Floyd. Okay? So again, this is not about division. I'm not here to divide. I want you to understand, all people to understand why we feel the way we feel. And maybe I shouldn't speak for everybody, but maybe I'll just say why I feel the way I feel. Why I'm outraged and I'm upset when I see the video. Because I know some people don't like being spoken for, so I'll speak for myself. I'm going to close with this. My mother would tell me and my brother when we were kids, Remi, never give anyone an excuse to reason in their mind as to why that bad thing that happened to you happened to you. I'll say that again. Remi, never give anybody an excuse to reason in their mind as to why that bad thing that happened to you happened to you. So Remi, go get a job. Remi, get your education. Remi, stay out the streets, because if not, you're going to give people an excuse to see he had what was coming to him, right? He got what he had coming to him, right? And so I say that to you, all people, but specifically my black and brown people. Listen, let's not give anybody an excuse. Let's stop killing each other. Let's stop it. Because I don't want anybody to be able to say, well, you guys do it all the time, so why you got a problem now? Let's not give them an excuse. They shouldn't be able to use that excuse, period, but let's not give it to them. And my police officers, listen, government, city officials, Our police officers need better screening, better training. Let's help them out. Let's get through this problem. Let's fix it, and let's move on. God bless. I love you all. No hate, all love. Not trying to create no division. I hope this bless you. Have a great weekend. Finish strong Friday.